Hey everybody, we're back with something new. We're going to be playing Warlords Battlecry 3. Now if you've never heard of this game, I pity you because it is one of the best real-time strategy games that has ever been made. It is a fantasy RTS. There's not a lot of competition in that area. Obviously Warcraft is extremely popular, was extremely popular. And so it's in a similar vein to Warcraft or, StarCraft or Command and Conquer or Age of Empires, in which you have a hero, you choose a fantasy race, you build buildings, you create units, and you fight the enemy. And there is a campaign mode. Today we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be playing a skirmish so that I can introduce you to all the different aspects of the game. And then we will play through the campaign over the course of the series. So today we're going to be going into Skirmish, and we're going to be talking about why I think this game is just legitimately one of the best RTS games ever created. You'll notice we're in black bar territory currently on the edge of the screen. I believe that disappears once we get into a game. I have it set to the highest possible resolution, but it is not, you'll see it's not obviously not 1080p. Or anything super large, so you're just going to have to tolerate that. It doesn't look terrible for a game as old as it is. This was released in 2004. So we're going to click Skirmish, and I'm going to introduce you. This was a test hero. We can go ahead and delete him. You'll see you'll be prompted to create a new hero. So we're going to call this one Aiden, because that is the name I use a lot in my writing. You'll see there are many different races, over a dozen races. Each of these has high points and low points. And they all, generally they either have a sort of, there's a hook attached to them. So for instance, we'll be playing as the Undead. The Undead actually upgrade their units as they go. If I haven't played this in 5 or 6 years, but I believe the Dark Dwarf focuses on siege damage, so they get a lot of benefit to damaging opponents' buildings. The Swarm have quick, cheap units, as do Barbarians. You choose the Fae when you really want to lose the game quickly, because they're the worst race by far. And so we're going to be playing as Undead, of course. You'll see our portrait changes, and another thing to note is that we have attributes. These attributes affect many things relating to your hero character, and you'll see if we choose a different race, those stats will change. So the Undead typically have very low charisma, but generally, I'm surprised our strength is so high, but everything else is pretty much average. Oh, that's because we're as a warrior class. You will also notice there are many classes in this game, which is another reason that I love this game. Most RTSs don't have quite this many races, and most of them don't even have the RPG elements for assigning a class. So we want to play as a Necromancer or a Lichelord. Now, what is the difference? I don't really remember, and there's unfortunately no way to look until you are in the game. So I think, well, who doesn't want to be a Lichelord? That sounds great. You'll see our charisma has dropped to 0, which is very bad for us. Intelligence has gone up till 9, and we have very mediocre strength and dexterity, and that is because this is a magic-centric class. This is a class that is not focused on combat or charisma, but rather on the ability to cast spells, which is intelligence. I don't think we'll be doing much of that today, but we'll check it out. We're going to go to Customize. This is just information. You'll see we can change the portrait of our character, which is pretty neat. Some of these are from the previous Battlecry games. Nothing's jumping out at me. We'll go with this fella right here. We also have the ability to change what our character looks like in the game. We're going to stick with him because he appears to be the only real undead. Plus, it looks like that's who this portrait is meant to be anyway. Password in case you play on a PC where multiple people play the game. You can choose from a voice.
Another for my ranks. Wade through their blood.
Wade through their blood. That sounds good. And you'll see there is normal mode and Iron Man mode, which means you will die. If you're killed, you will permanently die. This is a terrible way to play, in my opinion, unless you're truly exceptional. So we're going to go with normal mode. And we're going to jump in the game, and I'm going to start explaining kind of what the attributes mean and how to play the game. So we're going to go to Skirmish. Actually, we're going to talk about this first, because this is another reason why this game is so good. You can create a random map, or you can choose from a selection of pre-generated maps. You can dictate the size of the map, what type of biome it is in, whether or not there are additional buildings in the game that let you do various things. They just, it's like things like shops and temples and things, and we'll talk about them as we come across them. How many animals are on the map? This matters depending on your race. For instance, minotaurs are able to heal themselves by consuming animals from the map. And then resources, we're just going to go to high because we want this to be a quick game. Yep, that's the highest resolution. Normally we'd be purple, but I don't know how this will lay things out. We're just going to plop a couple squires in here because it's not about winning or having a real competition. This is just to familiarize you with the game. You'll see for each open slot we can assign a varying level of difficulty AI. We can open it to other players or we can close it. Obviously, as a single player game, it only matters to assign us to one side and the AI to others. You know what? We are going to go be purple because purple is my favorite color. You'll see we can also assign a race to each of the CPUs. We're not going to bother with that. We're going to let them be random. But we are going to set ourselves up as the undead because we are a Lichelord and we will get bonuses eventually to running the undead. Resources. This dictates how many of the resources you begin the game with. Again, this is just to introduce you, so we'll set ours really high. On the right side, we have additional options. Standard victory means if you look at the bottom of the screen, it will display some information. The player must destroy all enemy units and building. That is extremely tedious. Raise all buildings, destroy every building on the map, and so on. You'll see there are multiple game modes, most of which I don't generally play. We're going to go with assassination. What this means is that you only need to kill the enemy hero. If you kill the enemy hero, their entire side is defeated and removed from the game. It's the fastest game mode in my opinion. Keep level 5 determines how much upgrading you can do. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to expose the map because, again, we just want this to be Fog of War, same thing. Handicapping is apparently locked, and we'll leave quests on. Now, we just want these settings. Again, this is not what I would normally play, but this is just so we can familiarize ourselves with the games. More options. We're not going to worry about that. That's okay. Rules. We're not going to worry about that. And then army setup points. This, before every game, you have the option of recruiting units that will spawn with you at the very beginning of the game. I usually set this to at least 1 because this allows you to purchase a builder. We'll talk about this as we go. We're just going to jump into it. I've done a lot of explaining things without any gameplay. We're going to jump into the gameplay. We'll ignore that. So here are some of the undead units that we can spawn with us at the beginning of the game. We've given ourselves 1 point, as I pointed out, and that is enough for us to purchase a lowly zombie who is the builder for the undead faction. If we were further in the game, we would also have special recruits that we assign to our retinue, which we could then bring with us in game, but we are a fresh character, so we don't have any of them. We're just going to stick with the 1 zombie. You'll see it filled up our slot, and we're going to click to begin the game. Are you going to work? There's no sound, so what we're going to do, we're going to pause the game. This is a older game. We're going to save the game, and we're going to quit. And I'm going to restart the game, and basically because it's very old, I see the black bars didn't go away, so we're just going to have to endure that. There is no widescreen, I guess. Although we could play without sound, it is an old game, so it drops sound and things like that a lot. We're going to quit, and I'll restart the game, and I'll be back with hopefully some sound. And we're back. Okay, so now we have sound. The game has unpaused, so I'm going to pause the game so we can go over what we're looking at. First of all, you'll notice here is our hero, which we've selected, and here is information regarding our hero. We'll go over some of that in a minute. Here is our zombie, and up here in the upper right are the resources that we currently have. In the upper left is our army limit. You'll notice even though we have a zombie, it doesn't count for our army limit because we brought it with us at the start of the game, and our hero does not count against our army limit. So we're going to select the zombie, and the first thing you'll notice, the first thing we're going to point out is down here there's a buildings icon and a walls icon. This is a builder creature, so we can build buildings, and if we click that, it opens this interface. And here we have a keep. Your keep is your main base in the game, depending on the game mode. So for instance, there's a game mode where the objective is to destroy the keep of all the opponents. For now, we're going to click that, and we're going to find a good place. Where are we? We're in the lower right corner, so we're going to build this in the lower right portion just to have some defensive. Because the game is paused, he has not moved. When I go back to our hero, you'll see our hero is also capable of building things, but our hero cannot build walls or towers. Only builders can build walls and towers. There are a lot of other icons, most of which I never use, so we're not going to worry about that. Let's click our hero. You'll see we have a combat of 10, 190 hit points, 11 speed, which is not great, 23 damage, and this axe icon represents what type of damage we're dealing, 2 armor, and 6 resistance, and it is currently set to defensive, which means if a enemy comes into range, it will chase it a short distance, but if it flees, it will return to its previous location, I believe. And we can set that using the attitude button. You'll see there are many preset attitudes that we're not going to worry about right now. Some other things to note on this screen, there is our character if we right click this, it will take us to a different info screen. You'll see that our current race is Undead. We are a Lichelord. We are level 1, and we regenerate health at 1 point for every 3.33 seconds, but only at night, and I believe that's because we're Undead. Mana regeneration is 1 point for every 10 seconds, and that's this blue bar right here. The red bar is our health. You'll see we have +3 in our Necromancy skill, +1 as a Skull Lord, +1 warding, and +1 poison magic. We can't really look at those right now, but those are our current skills, and that's because of the class that we chose. Here we have our portrait. If we right click our portrait, it displays our attributes. And if we right click again, it shows our level and how much experience is required to get to the next level. To the left of that is the mini map, which is this right here. All of these icons mean something, which I guess we can talk about at some point. We also have an inventory, which we'll click. You'll see we have no equipment currently equipped in any of our slots, but we do have health potions and we do have mana potions, and they also have keyboard hotkeys to use these in an emergency. We also have a backpack, and it also displays any items that may be on the ground. Here is our spell book, the little scroll icon, and because we are a Lichelord, we have, if you remember, we have Necromancy +3, which is the Necromancy spell tree. So we have +3, which means we can cast the first 3 spells in the Necromancy, and there are many. Oh, we also have poison apparently, which poison magic right here. There are many different spell schools, but because we only have spells in 2, we can only view 2 of them at once. This is by far one of my favorite parts of this game, is just how many spells they have added and how many different spheres there are to learn spells in. So in the poison tree, we currently can make ourselves immune to poison and disease for 2 minutes. The Necromancy spell tree is much more interesting to me. You'll see we have a +3 in our skill, and we currently have 2 out of 47 mana. We have the ability to raise a skeleton, which is basically summoning a skeleton from nothing. And you'll see it costs 10 mana, and in the right portion it says there's a 77% chance of success. This will go up as our intelligence goes up and as our skill in Necromancy improves. We could also raise a zombie, which would be just a copy of this guy. Same spell chance. And then we also have the ability to create a black portal. And what this does is that, I believe, if we have a black portal activated and we summon another unit, that unit will get bonus experience, which will make them stronger. So that's a lot of exposition, but there's still things to learn about. Here are our towers. These are watchtowers that will fire arrows at our opponents as they approach. They can be garrisoned with additional units, and you'll see here ours don't fire arrows. Ours actually shoot lightning damage for 30 points of damage. They have a 12 range. Here's just, basic statistics. If we garrison units in here, these statistics will change. For instance, if we put a lich in here, it will turn this lightning damage to fire damage instead. We'll talk more about that as we do it. And then here we have the resources, and that is what these various buildings around us represent. I turned up resources, so there are many of them. Normally you would only be around 4 to begin with, but because we cranked everything up, we see a little bit of everything. This is a metal resource, this is a stone resource, this is a crystal resource, and this is, that's gold, but you can't really see it. This is a gold resource. Each mine, well, I guess these are mines, contains multiple little carts. If you look here, this is a level 3 mine, and it says so right here, and that is because there are 3 carts. This will generate more crystal than a level 2 crystal would. Similarly, this has 2 golds attached to it, so it is only a 2, and it will generate gold at a different pace than this level 3 gold mine. You'll see there are also a finite number of resources, although this rarely ever comes into play. So how do we capture that, and how do we make that our own? Well, we can select our hero, and if we press the R key, you'll see this little circle. Now, the range of this circle is determined by our charisma, which is unfortunately 0. So if we had started with, say, a paladin who had very high charisma, our circle would be much, much larger. We can move our hero unit over to these. Let's unpause the game. Move our hero unit over to these 2 buildings. And here we have a convert button. And if we press convert, you'll see it gets a red circle, which indicates that we are currently converting these mines to be our mines. And this is what this bar here represents. You'll see also our zombie went off to construct the building we requested, which cost us some gold and cost us some stone. Each different race requires different materials for different things. So for the undead, the primary materials that we need are metal and crystal. For, say, the barbarians, I believe that it's metal and stone. For the demons, I think crystal is really important. It all depends on your race. So we've converted these, which will change them to our color, and we will move, what did we get? Stone and metal, so we need crystal and gold yet. There's no good place to get both at once, so we'll head over to the crystal mine, and we'll begin conversion for that. We'll wait for our zombie to finish creating this building, and we will select the builder, and we will set up, we can't select the next building until the keep is done, which will unlock the additional buildings. So if you'll see, they're grayed out, but as soon as he completes it, they open up. So we're going to build a graveyard, which is the basic infantry producing building. And in this building, we will upgrade to keep level 2. You'll see there are skills that we can unlock. This will give zombies +4 to combat and allow them to scavenge corpses for resources. And upgrading increases our army limit, because again, we can only have a limited number of units. And it also unlocks additional buildings. So we'll go ahead and upgrade while he's building our graveyard. He has finished his conversion, so we will move up here to convert the gold mine. And maybe we can see if we can get the metal in here as well. We can. Oh, no, we can't. We're not quite close enough to the base. It actually tracks the base of the mine, so this portion doesn't count as convertible. He's finished, so we're going to, going to build a boneyard, which is think of it like an armorer. And we'll go to the graveyard and see what we can do. You'll see this is a unit producing building. We have the ability to learn a new skill, which would unlock an ability to create gravestones. But for now, we're just going to churn out a couple of skeletons, so we have some sort of army going. When you have a building selected, if it's a unit producing building, you can right click somewhere, which will set a waypoint, so any unit spawned in this area will report to that location. You'll see we have upgraded. Oh, we have a problem. He's not building what we asked him to build. There we go. We are now a level 2 death keep because we upgraded, as I had pointed out earlier. Now that we've converted everything, we're just going to go around and try to convert some of the other local buildings so that we can get these resources ticking up faster and faster. You'll see that's something that the opponents are already doing. So if you notice, these are marked by the red team because this guy is going around, or I'm sorry, this woman is going around converting all the local buildings. She is a sage and she's level 5, which is not great because we're level 1. Luckily, we made them very stupid AI. So we're going to continue our building. We're going to build a barrow, which will allow us to build wraiths. So the interesting thing about the undead in this game is that all of their units are really built from upgrading other units. So you'll see we have skeletons, which are the most basic undead unit. They're not... Oh no, what? Oh, it popped up here. I thought they were coming to kill my hero. So you'll see we have a skeleton. Skeletons have very bad stats, and they have very low hit points, so they're very easily killed. But if we look in the menu, you'll see we can morph them into better units, and it just requires certain materials to do so. So we can take this skeleton and we can morph it to a wight, which it now has more hit points, and it is slightly better at combat. Now, unfortunately, the wights are extremely weak still, but they are better than the basic skeletons. So we're going to upgrade some of these gentlemen. We're going to keep churning out skeletons for right now. In fact, we're going to send these guys to escort our hero because it's really not a good idea to send your hero out alone. You'll notice also they are extremely slow, and this is an unfortunate part of being the undead, is that they are pretty slow. So now we've built every building we can build except for the brood, which I guess we'll build just so we have one. I don't usually build one. And we've built a barrow, which has unlocked the ability for us to now morph skeletons into wraiths. Now, wraiths are much better than the wights, and this is because wraiths, for one, they have the ability to hit flying units. These, if we hover over them, if you look at the top of the screen, it says they are undead infantry with no ability, and they can only damage ground troops, which means if the enemy sent a bunch of flyers at us right now, we have nothing that can... Our hero can hit air troops, but nothing else that we have currently can hit air troops. But the wraiths can, and if you look at the top of the screen, it says not only do they attack both ground and air troops, but they actually drain XP from units they kill, which means if they kill a high level unit, they will automatically level up to the level of the unit they've defeated, which is really handy for getting strong units early in the game. We're gonna move a couple of you back down here just for civil defense, and we'll leave us a wraith down here as well. Now if we go to the boneyard, which is the building that lets us build wights, you'll see we have the ability to increase melee damage of all creatures by +5. And then this extends even further, and then it can extend even further, but they're incremental. You have to do one at a time. I don't love where our gold is at, so we're not going to do that right this second, but it is an upgrade that applies to all of our units. If we go to the barrow, we open this, you'll see we can increase the wraith or shadow speed by +3, which is a wonderful upgrade. Speed is one of the most useful stats in the game. And you'll see we also have the ability to upgrade their combat ability. If we look, you'll see it's currently not a very good combat ability. If we select, oh, it is the same, okay. So not great, but better than the skeletons, which only have 2. And because these only cost crystal as opposed to gold, which is the lowest resource, I'm going to go ahead and queue both of them up to upgrade our wraiths. The next major step, because we can't build any other buildings, is to upgrade our keep yet again, which we're going to do. We built the Airy. Now, for us it is a brood. Now the brood is where we build flying units. The bat is air to air only, so it can't attack ground units or buildings, so I don't often build them. I'm not super concerned. It always just feels like a waste of resources. So let's move our guy to, where haven't we convert? Oh, there is a spider priestess attacking our mine. Now this is not attached to any of the AI. This is actually a map-based enemy. I'm going to upgrade you folks. No, come back. Go as a unit. And we're going to go attack her. So if we look around the map, this is a shop that we can go send our hero to interact with. And this spawns enemies. This is a Goblin Lair. It will spawn goblin enemies. And if we go up here, you'll see there is a spider lair, which is producing these spiders and spider priestesses, which is not great. We did defeat the enemies that were here, but our men took some damage. In fact, we're going to leave you all here, just in case more come. Now what were we going to do? Why don't we go heal, capture this crystal mine? In fact, let's select our hero. We're going to move him separately, and we're going to use a little of our necromancy. We're going to summon a portal. Oh, and we failed. We're going to summon a portal, and we failed. In the beginning, it's really hard to level to cast spells. We're going to close this because you'll notice here we actually leveled up. So we're going to right-click, and it's going to take us to the level up screen. It's going to offer us to improve one of our stats, I think. And it tells you what each of those things would do for us. I think we're going to bump charisma because our command radius is so small. And because our charisma is so low, every upgrade or unit that we buy, it costs extra. So if you look, it currently costs it costs 5.26% more to purchase units and upgrades. And if we upgrade this, that actually drops down to 4% more. And we're going to upgrade charisma because we do want to bump this number as quickly as possible to benefit our command radius. We'll click OK, and it will take us to the skill screen. Most of these skills are unlocked when you reach a certain level. Currently we can upgrade Necromancy, which would allow us to cast one more spell. We could upgrade Lichelord, which grants a bonus to morale for all units when we are playing as undead. I'm not 100% on what morale affects, but I know that it is a good thing. We could upgrade Warding, which grants resistance to all of our troops. Or we could upgrade Poison Magic, which we're not very interested in. So I think we'll bump up Necromancy. You see we have 0 points left. Click OK, and we've now upgraded. So if we go to our spellbook, you see now we can skip the skeleton and we can directly raise a wight, which we'll do. And you'll see he appears here. There is a bar hovering over him. This means that he will die after this bar is filled. This was done because originally the game was very much, what's a good word? It was unbalanced, so summoning characters had a very easy gameplay because they could just create units from scratch and they would live forever. And you'll see now when this bar depletes, he will actually disappear from the game, which makes it significantly less useful, but also I do understand why they made that change. We really need to just be churning out skeletons at this point. Let's build, because we've upgraded, we've unlocked additional buildings. Let's build an altar of shadows, I think should be my first priority. And you'll see we finished both of these. If we go to check out our Wraith now, you'll see it has a +3 to its combat ability and a +3 to its speed, which is what we were looking for originally. That's rude, Goblin. Oh. Goblin Catapult. Really probably should have turned those off for the tutorial, but that's okay. This may be a longer episode because I haven't played this game in many, many years, and so I'm not at the top of my game the way I used to be. We're going to continue converting local buildings because the faster we raise our resources, the faster we can win the game. So we're going to move over here and we're going to take this. Stone is not very important to the undead, so I'm not concerned about the stone. We don't have enough gold to upgrade further. You'll see Every time we upgrade this, we also get additional skills that we can unlock. So the enemies are currently dying to the environmental monsters anyway, so we're not too far from winning. You'll see we could upgrade the combat of zombies, which we talked about. We also could upgrade the combat for all wights, but because I don't use them, this isn't very worthwhile. And bats gain the ability to suck health from things they damage, which again, I don't often build bats, so we're not super concerned with that. We'll go white because we have so much metal. I want you to convert this building. Is there anything? We built the Altar of Shadows, which we can buy upgrades, which will regenerate our mana faster, but because we don't have that many spells, we're not super concerned about that. Let's build a cage. This is a very important building for the undead. And you'll see because we built the Altar of Shadows, we can now upgrade our Wraith even further by making it a shadow, which is a much harder to see, but also better combat unit. And if we double click, we can select all of the units on screen and we can upgrade all of them. You'll see they are leveling up from doing combat damage and things. Let's find some more, but let's go check out the shop because I want to show you what you can do with a shop. I'm going to make you a white. We're going to start upgrading whites pretty soon. We'll move here and we're going to select our hero and send him to the shop. You'll see there are items for sale, including mana and health potions. We also have an axe for sale, which we could equip, but we can't currently afford because our crystal is so low. And we have a cloak, which we could buy, but again, crystal is too low to buy. And neither of these are particularly good for a spellcaster. I want to point out also, if you look at these units, they have a small asterisk by them. And this means that they are within my command radius, and so they get a bonus. So if we look here, this is a 7+2 and a 7+1, but if we move our hero out of range, you'll see those bonuses go away. This is because of our hero being morale boosting, it increases that. So now if we send, so I want to pause the game. So our wraiths are relatively fast creatures. They can move at a speed of 15, which is faster than the average hero. Can't currently see his speed because he's converting. But because we have so many wraiths, what we can do, and the game is set to assassination, which means all we have to do is defeat the enemy hero. So if we can't zoom out in this game. That's on me for thinking that this is a more modern game. But if we select all of our shadows and we click the enemy hero, okay, it doesn't show an animation, I guess, when it's paused, and we unpause the game, they will now all move to attack this hero who has a speed of 14, so they are faster than the hero, and they'll basically chase him around the map until they can get a few licks in and hopefully kill him and end the game. For now, we're going to send our hero back over here because I want to show you this building. And as long as he doesn't die before we get there, we'll talk about quests. So there are buildings located on the map. This is a mausoleum. And if you send your hero to one of these quest buildings, it will offer you a quest. If you complete the quest, it has varying rewards and varying requests. So if we go here, you'll see a powerful defiler, a wizard who deals in poison. We need to move you because you're going to die. And then we would lose the game, and that is bad. We'll upgrade them, and we'll move them over here. Oh, H for health potion. Don't want to die. So a defiler, a wizard who deals in poison, offers to summon a Naga for you if you slay the hero who has been trying to kill him. So basically this is saying, hey, if you kill a hero in the game, we will summon a Naga for you. Naga is a stronger unit. It's not a super strong unit, but it is stronger. And there we've defeated the enemy hero, and so the game ends. Hopefully you understand a little better what we're doing. We'll continue talking about undead as we play the game. We didn't get to the top tier of units, We did manage to upgrade the wights to these Doom Knights here, which is these little guys right here. We are victorious. We click, and we'll be taken to the after game report. Or the game will crash because it often crashes when you go to the after game report. Yep, leveling up. So we built 25 troops. We had 10 of them die. We killed 41. We built 19 buildings. We didn't lose or destroy any buildings. Aiden, because we have won, we gained a 145 experience bonus, and we have gained 2 levels. So we'll go forward, and it will take us back to the level up screen. I think... So the other thing that Charisma does is it grants additional army setup points. So in that game, we had set it to 1 so we could take a builder with us. And if we set it to 1 again and started the game with him at 3 charisma, we would actually get 2 points because we get a bonus from our charisma. Do we want to bump charisma that much though? This would grant us more mana and more mana regeneration, as well as a better chance to properly cast our spells. And it grants additional experience to brand newly created troops. Dexterity increases speed and reduces the time it takes to convert buildings. I'm not super concerned with strength or dexterity because we are a non-melee character. I do think we want to bump charisma some more. You select OK. We still haven't unlocked the next couple levels, so we're going to just, I think we'll put 1 in for our morale, and we'll bump up Necromancy another level. We'll click OK. And here it takes us to the retinue screen. After completing a level, there are occasionally creatures that performed exceptionally in your game. And then there are occasional randomized recruits. So for instance, this Wraith is a Wraith that I'm guessing killed a hero in the game, because this little symbol represents it has several levels, and you'll notice its ability is much higher than the other one. And so we'll add him to the retinue. This is because Wraiths have the Drain experience skill. We also got a Black Mage, which is a randomized recruit because we are not of the same race. This means that this is just a random recruit. We'll take him as well. He is known as a general, which means he also has the ability to convert various buildings, and I believe he also has several spells at his disposal. We'll click the thumbs up to advance, and that is going to be it for the first game that we've played of Warlords Battlecry. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. I know that a lot of explanation was in this episode. We are going to play this game a little more. We're going to jump into the campaign, which is a pretty long story mode, which I really like that they added that, because many RTSs have very kind of bad story modes, and I actually enjoy the campaign in this game. So we will be back soon with more Warlords Battlecry 3. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.